Well, we're back again with yet another No Fluff analysis, and this time I'll be talking about the Gala Dragalia Summon Showcase, running from the 29th of June until the 3rd of July UTC. With this end date in mind, do remember that you won't be able to use the tenfold summon from the Rhythmic Resolutions event. Anyway, with that, let's get straight to it with the first unit added with the showcase, the 5-star Shadow Dragon, Gala Catshi, the Capricious Feline. Gala Catshi's ability is Skillful Trickery. At the start of a quest, the user's next 15 skills gain 180% skill damage. Each 25 hit combo will restore a charge of this effect, capping out at 15 charges. Catshi's second ability is Ending Shapeshift equals Skillful Trickery, which grants another 8 charges of increased skill damage when the user's shapeshift is undone. Catshi's skill is Elegant Artifice, which deals 32 hits of damage to enemies ahead over 10 seconds. Do note that Catshi's standard attacks will also inflict sleep, and the skill damage buffs will only count for one buff in cases where skills are modified by the user's buff count, so think Xander and Karina's skill 1s. 180% skill damage is a huge damage boost, so I think it's safe to say that Gala Catshi will be a top tier dragon for almost the entire Shadow roster. Adventurers such as Durant and Linnea won't really benefit, and the same goes for Delphi since these adventurers rely on strength instead. On a side note, I feel like Gala Alex benefits less from Catshi. Gala Alex generally fires off her skills faster than it would take for her to get 25 combo, so her pool of skill damage charges will generally fall faster than she can regenerate them. However, with the current state of Expert Kaiyan and the shape-shifting restoring charges, I'm pretty sure fights will end before Gala Alex's charge count becomes an issue. We'll see if that's still the case once Master Kaiyan is released. Looking at data from damage simulations as well, a 0 unbound Gala Catshi is roughly equivalent to a maximum unbound Shinobi, and at maximum unbinds, Catshi is, a roughly 15 to 20% DPS boost for adventurers using DPS skills. Next up is the 5-star water sword, Eugene, the Sullen Youth. Eugene's first skill is Signature Tactics, a 10-second buff zone with skill shift. Phase 1 is a 20% strength buff zone. Phase 2 has 20% strength buff and an additional 8% flame resistance. Phase 3 has the 20% strength buff, 8% flame resistance, and finally plus 20% critical damage modifier. Phase 3 also grants Eugene the Check buff and readies Checkmate for use. Check can stack up to 2 times. Eugene's second skill is Checkmate. It deals 2500% damage to enemies ahead. Checkmate can only be used when the user has the check effect and will consume 1 stack of check. Checkmate is also shareable for 4 skill share points. When shared, it doesn't require the check buff, but will cost 15.7 thousand skill points to charge. Eugene's co-ability is a standard sword one of Dragon Haste. His chain co-ability is Dragon's Claws. Eugene's first ability is Critical Hit equals Inspiration Level Up, which increases the user's inspiration level by 1 stage each time one of the user's attacks is a critical hit. This effect has a 10-second cooldown. Eugene also has Stun Resist, and he gains 13% defense at 70% hit points or above. Eugene's game plan revolves around spamming his first skill to build up his second one. The buff zone is a decent bonus for the rest of his team, but his S2 is a slow building nuke ability. In this sense, Eugene's skill rotation is pretty similar to Chrom. In terms of his overall damage contribution to the team, however, it will vary wildly depending on which dragon you're using. Gavner and Trenna will skew Eugene's damage distribution more heavily towards the buff zone contribution, whereas strength or skill damage dragons will attribute more of his damage to his checkmate. Eugene's inspiration timing of 5 stacks in a minimum of 40 seconds on his own should also line up nicely with readying checkmate. With the appropriate setup, I think Eugene should parallel Chrom quite nicely, maybe even deleting Expert Iha and Otaha in 1 hit, with a coordinated team building around this skill. Even without using Eugene as a frontliner, his Dragon Haste and Dragon's Claws co-abilities have a decent bit of synergy. If you don't have Summer Celiera, Xanfred could use Eugene in his backline for some more transformation-centric play. Next up on the showcase is the 5-star Water Lance, Catherine, the Perfect Flower. Catherine's first skill is Beck and Call, which increases her strength by 20% for 10 seconds and grants her the Perfect Escort buff, which stacks up to 3 times. Catherine's second skill is Perfect Order, which deals damage to a target and nearby enemies, dealing bonus damage based on the number of Perfect Escort stacks and consuming all of them upon using Perfect Order. At 0 stacks, Perfect Order deals 1242% over 46 hits. At 1 stack, it deals 1566% over 58 hits. At 2 stacks, it's 1782% over 66 hits, and at 3 stacks, it deals 2257% over 74 hits. Perfect Order is shareable for 6 skill share points, and when shared, it deals 1403% over 46 hits. Catherine has the standard Lancer Co ability of plus hit points, and for a chain co ability, she grants water units plus 13% strength at 10 combo or above. Catherine's first ability is Perfection Embodied. Catherine's standard attacks, Force Strikes, and Perfect Order skill will deal more damage based on the number of Perfect Escort buffs. While she has the buff, Catherine will be immune to knockback and all elementally attuned damage will be reduced by 10%, but taking damage will consume a stack. In practice, I believe elementally attuned damage refers to basically damage you take from non-status afflictions. For her second ability, Catherine has Stun Resist, and for her final ability she has Skill Damage plus 30%. Catherine's game plan also has some parallels with Eugene and Crom, a damaging skill 2 that has a setup element from the skill 1. There's a minor bit of interesting interaction between stronger basic attacks and force strikes from Perfect Escort stacks, potentially creating situations where it's better to hold onto your stronger attacks for a short while, before consuming all stacks with Perfect Order. Think like just before break, or maybe waiting for another Beck and Call to be ready to immediately regain a stack after consuming all of them. I suppose it depends on the buff, and also with Expert Ayaha and Otaha you may have to time things around instances of unavoidable damage. Last up on the showcase we have the 5-star Water Dragon, Styx, the Mischievous Guardian. Styx grants water units compounding skill damage, which increases the damage of the next attack skill by 50%, every 15 seconds. This caps at 200% and all stacks are lost upon using an attack skill. Styx's skill is Frigid Blast, which deals damage to enemies in a line, with increased damage for each stack of Ice Spirits. Ice Spirits is a buff that Styx gains with normal attacks, stacking up to 3 times. Depending on the number of stacks, Frigid Blast will deal between 540 and 1440%. All stacks are lost upon using Frigid Blast or when the shapeshift is undone. So, Styx is very, very tailored towards the 2 new adventurers added with this showcase. 200% skill damage every minute is a terrible buff for adventurers that use offensive skills much more often than this, considering Styx has no base skill damage or strength aura. For Eugene and Catherine, however, this intermittent damage buff should align very nicely with their burst windows. However, even for Eugene and Catherine, Styx has to compete with Gavner and Trenna. I've played around with the sim quite a bit, and Styx just doesn't even compare to Leviathan. With so many adventurers drawing additional DPS from skill shares, trying to focus your whole build around consuming Styx stacks with your S2 requires you to forego using Ranzel's skill share, which results in an overall DPS loss. Not to mention the fact that I managed to increase the DPS by simply removing even transforming and trying to use the Ice Spirit mechanic, which has its own problems. In practice, it's almost impossible to actually reach 3 stacks of Ice Spirits without a Gala Dragalia in your backline, or a Grey Shield to protect from incidental damage. After all of this investigation, I feel like Styx is only barely better than Vodjanoi as far as I can tell. Hopefully Cygames rework Styx in the future, much like Nyarlathotep. While not part of the showcase, we also have some Wyrmprints added with the 1.21 update. The 5-star print is Once in a Lifetime, granting Last Defense and Skill Haste. It also grants 150% Festival Spirit for the event, but that's not what we're here for. Overall, I think this is a bit of an odd combination. Last Defense is typically used to front-load damage in high dragon trials, which is still possible by skill sharing skills that lower your defense. but Skill Haste focuses on maximizing the number of skill casts over the course of a fight. I feel Skill Haste loses values in short fight where Last Offense would see the most value, so I don't think there's really a good spot for this print. In very niche situations, maybe the Skill Haste could enable you to get another cast of a skill within the 15-second buff window of Last Offense. Otherwise, I'm not really about this print. The 4-star print is Catch Me in the Sunflowers, which at maximum unbind grants 4% Bleeding Punisher and 10% Light Resist. For the event, it also grants 100% Festival Spirit. The Punisher is pretty abysmal. Bleed units are used in Wind and Shadow. Both elements also feature adventurers that inflict poison, so in this case I believe you're actually much better off using Poison Punisher prints in place of this one. Think Plaguebringer or Fires of Hate, since it will also benefit the initial bleed stack if the target is poisoned beforehand. Not to mention the fact that the Poison Punisher ability on these prints are at least 20%. Overall, I can't recommend this print either unless you're a die-hard Botan fan. If so, it's okay. I understand. Added with the event is the 5-star print Best Buds, which grants 8% critical rate and 50% Festival Spirit. Use it for the event and swap it out after, maybe even consider selling it for the Old Water. In terms of old content, well, it's a Gala Showcase, so the old Gala Adventurers and Dragon are returned to the pool, but at the same rate as all other off-focus units. So my overall opinion on this is that Gala Catchy fills a similar niche to what Gala Mars would do, and overall it's a massive buff or power creep even over the strongest dragons in the element already. In terms of flame, we didn't really need Gala Mars and it just further trivialized the existing endgame content. Catchy's gonna do the same thing for Shadow, but to be fair, I still think Shinobi's fine as a dragon for handling Expert Cayenne. We'll see what happens when Master Cayenne is released, but jeez. Here's hoping people don't start trying to gate for Catchy instead, because obviously if you've seen my poll video, almost 500 polls, no Catchy for me, and I would be upset if I ended up getting gated out of Master Cayenne, but hey, that's a me problem. For everyone else, thank you very much for watching, stay safe, take it easy, and I wish you luck in your upcoming polls.